largest, and one of our most beautiful vacation lands is Yellowstone National Park. There it is, that white area in northwestern Wyoming. It touches Montana and Idaho. And doesn't it touch your imagination a little to think that the world's greatest outdoor museum, all the flowers and forests and mountains, are reserved for you? There's a broad, smooth highway that leads from your door to an unforgettable vacation. Mountains to be climbed, canyons to be explored. You won't need any special equipment, not even a fishing license. It wasn't as easy as this a generation ago. Today, you have only to get in your car and go. There are several entrances, but let's come in from the north. You've just entered Yellowstone National Park. You're 1.5 miles above sea level, and the air is clear and invigorating. All around us is the evidence of the park's volcanic origin. But in spite of the rock barriers built by nature, broad, safe highways traverse the park, and a great national playground is opened to all America. Under summer skies, we have ice and snow, and yet, here's Mammoth Hot Springs. That water was heated deep down in the mysterious depths of the earth. There are few spots in the world where you can get closer to nature's secret laboratories. The water brings heat and lime from far underground. Little by little, it overflows the terraces and runs down. Slowly, the sparkling water builds these sculptured white terraces. But let's get on. They call these weird formations the Hoodoos. We're driving leisurely to the south. There are scenes of breathtaking beauty in every direction. Now we can take leave of all responsibilities, nothing to do but soak up the sunshine and feast our eyes. We're as fancy-free as the water that comes leaping from the ledges and tumbles down into the canyons. But let's look at the mountains themselves. There are 3,400 square miles of mountains and valleys in the park. Did you know that this is one of the largest and most successful game refuges in the world? Antelope feed peacefully on grassy slopes. Woof, woof, a black bear. But don't worry, he's friendly. He won't bother you. When you first look at this oddity, you'll think it's chocolate. But don't try eating it. And don't put your fingers in this one, because some of these springs run well over the boiling point. A tour of these bubbling hot springs is something you'll never forget. They add strange shapes and colors to the natural profusion of rock and forest. Some of them throw water 2 or 3 feet into the air, and they're really baby geysers. Hot water not only bubbles out of the ground, it runs down the mountains and makes spectacular falls. No fishing here. They couldn't live in Firehole River. Some of the springs are beautifully colored, vivid blues and reds and yellows. The paint pots are especially colorful. Here's an illustration of the tremendous forces at work under the surface of the earth. There's almost as much variety in this phenomena as there is in people. We've seen hot springs and paint pots, water, hot and cold, flowing on the surface. It's when the water is confined in a narrow tube and heated that things begin to happen. Steam on the surface is one thing. It's free to expand and move around. Geysers occur when high temperatures in the depths of the earth approach too close to the surface. Here's what happens. The surface water trickles down through cracks in the rocks, and subterranean water seeps into the geyser's plumbing, is heated, becomes live steam, and wants more room. It can't go anywhere but up, so up it goes, driving the cooler water ahead of it. All this may take a few minutes or hours. For many years, Old Faithful has played with average regularity every 65 minutes. It's a majestic, awe-inspiring sight, reaching up with a plume of white steam that towers above everything and seems to dominate the world. In Yellowstone, you may camp out with your own equipment and supplies, or live in hotels and lodges. Stop for a swim, if you like, in the clean, pure spring water. Back in the car again, refreshed, we continue our travels. We don't want to miss anything. From time to time, we stop for a closer view of something that catches our fancy. We discover that wild animals are dangerous only when we treat them as enemies. These black bears don't mind having their picture taken at all. There's an interesting geyser, By the way, did you know that at this altitude, water boils at 200 degrees instead of 212 degrees? If you could get up high enough, you could boil water that was barely lukewarm. There's one for Mr. Ripley. Here's an unlimited collecting ground for everybody, scientist or layman. Take your trailer along. There's free parking here, and you can camp as long as you like. Bubbling, grumbling, spouting, fuming, old Mother Nature has a new trick for us at every turn. Even if there weren't any geysers or hot springs, there's the Grand Canyon. Don't confuse this one with the larger Grand Canyon of the Colorado River in Arizona. This is smaller, but marvelously colored, a sort of cameo of canyons. 4/5 of Yellowstone is thick with forest, but you can see waterfalls twice as high as famed Niagara Falls, and you'll tingle with excitement as the water plunges down, down in its tireless journey to the sea. If you want to see grizzly bears, you come here to the bear feeding grounds. An armed ranger is on guard, and you'll be perfectly safe. You'll see a lot of moose, especially in the evenings. From the canyon, you'll go northward to Tower Falls, and here's some of the most inspiring scenery in America. The road bends back near Yellowstone River. The river's gorge at this point, the falls of Tower Creek, and the palisades of basaltic rock, far above the foaming Yellowstone. All of these things are well worth the trip to see them. Herds of buffalo live in these mountains, a symbol of our vanished frontier. The early pioneers pushed their way laboriously across this country. But it's only in our great national parks that we've preserved unchanged the really wild things and the immense wilderness they knew. You can get off the beaten track if you want to, get entirely away from everything civilized and familiar. Or you can drive through in a comparatively short time. The modern motor car takes you from your front door to this natural treasure house, gives you a comfortable vacation, and brings you back rested and refreshed with a deeper appreciation of natural beauty and of the great country